Ascension Stones, your crystal gemstone podcast. Coming up on this edition, we are exploring the world of the most known and most prolific, most expandable and adaptable crystal on planet Gaia, the quartz crystal.
Quartz is highly programmable in the more of the spiritual sense, and also in the technological sense. They're making crystals that can hold memory on a 5D level, which is pretty insane. But back to the stone. Here's amethyst. This is one of my favorite amethysts in my collection. If you're really curious and want to know more about it, this piece of amethyst is from Zimbabwe, the Chibuku mine specifically.
So the rose quartz is really kind of like the OG of unconditional love, deep, passionate connection.
A lot of my greater moments and my greatest development in my psychic abilities happened through the use of calcite. So be on the lookout. Bottom of your hand, and you work with it by shooting energy through the tip or the small narrow point. And
we have the good old ancient Lemurians.
Telepathic communications like a satellite through my blue double terminated appetite, cleansing emotions and heart's devotion with the malachite, electrify, magnetize with the magnetite, off the chain, renew my brain, magnesite, energize the blood, protect the aura with the hematite, talk to angels with the phenakite and pedalite, petrified wood could take us to the highest heights, balance all chakras with the blue kyanite, explosive kind of light, we blew the dynamite. I annihilate beings like selenite, crown chakra, third eye sight with tanzanite, Minnesota pipe, stone chief, pastor pipe. At peace, we communicate easy with azurite, smoking THC crystals, get stoned on edibles, collecting all types of gemstones and minerals. Green is all I need, aventurine, jade, and emerald. Shungite water is a...
Hello?
Welcome everybody. Grand day. Not sure what's going on with the Wi-Fi right now, but welcome to everybody into this wonderful space as we continue this series of Ascension Stones. And this is your Crystal Gemstone podcast, and it's bi-weekly on Tuesdays, and we take place at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, on this journey so far, we have dived into, what crystals are as a whole, what they look like on the multidimensional planes, as in what they are metaphysically, what they are on the mental plane, as well as what they are in this physical realm. Along with that, we talked about different benefits, different conscious ways of using crystals in your life, whether it's to help balance the chakras, to help bring more healthy and well-being to your everyday life, or if it's even making crystal grids and placing them in specific points around your home and other surface areas as well. Then further on, we talked about grounding, and we talked about different stones that help with grounding. And then we also talked about the quartz family as well. And the quartz family, that was where we left off. And I tell you what, that was a very fun episode, exploring and touching on all the different wide arrays of the diverse quartz family. So with that being said, we are going to continue forward. And on this episode, we are going to be diving into not only crystals that are good for shadow work, but we're also going to briefly educate you guys and talk about what shadow work looks like holistically, consciously, and how we can really interact and do our shadow work in this everyday life. So I'm Marcus Christolight of Sacred Light, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our co-host, Yuuga, and let him kick off.
Okay, so shadow work is a very interesting concept, one that's gained a lot of popularity in modern times. But if I understand it correctly, it comes from Jungian philosophy of the shadow self, and understanding that we have something, it's along the lines of the subconscious, but it's kind of the unconscious part of the mind that we don't necessarily directly interact with. And it's a lot of the impulses and kind of dirty secrets that we don't necessarily acknowledge for ourselves, but it's a very broad topic, so it's hard to say exactly what it is person to person. It's going to look a little different for everyone, but generally shadow work is going to be addressing the things, the traumas, the difficulties, and the things that have stifled you as a person in your development on your spiritual journey. Now, this doesn't necessarily only apply to people on their spiritual journey. Shadow work can be applied to anyone, but I feel like we should just address the spiritual stuff and work on ways that help psychologically and spiritually manifest into healthy habits and routines. Anything you want to add to that, Marcus? Are we having problems again? Well, okay, there you are.
Man, I don't know what's going on with the internet. But yeah, I'll add a little bit on there too. Shadow work. Shadow work, some things that we were kind of just touching on before we hopped on the episode, was just really coming into that mindset and the view that, number one, just like really breaking out of those cliches, breaking out of the stereotypes or kind of new age propaganda, so to say, that you hear about shadow work and shadows. And that is coming from the mindset and the open heart that the shadow is a natural part of our human experience. It's meant to be a part of our journey. And it's also, in a way, a complement to us being able to experience the polarities of the third dimension and the others as well. So with that being said, just kind of trying to release and let go of the programming or the mindsets that, number one, the shadow is something bad or completely negative. Number two, that the ego or the shadow is something that we need to completely dismiss or demonize or destroy. And number three, also realizing that the shadow has a place when it comes to our vulnerability, our natural expressions, and our authenticity of how we are going through the contrast of experience as a human being. And when you get really deeper into, the Hermetics, the Kabbalion, into alchemy, you always try to remember that you are the all, experiencing the all. And when that happens, you realize that, okay, I am more than my shadows. I am more than my human self even. And then even going beyond all of that. And when you come to that realization inside yourself, and that's what you're kind of focusing and embodying, then the shadows aren't as big as you may think they are. And the shadows are part of complementing your journey, while also remembering that we don't have to attach to our shadows. Our shadows do not define who we are, and they are ultimately temporary, just like everything else in this universe. So with that being said, we can just start to release those attachments, release those cords, release those negative feelings and programming surrounding it, and just come to at least neutrality. Just neutrality and, enlightenment or acknowledgement of what is. And that is that we're here to shadow box with the Wu-Tang, shadow boxing and all that good stuff. And yeah, the more you just come to acceptance and come to a place of unconditional love for yourself and for your shadow, you can then feel more integrated and feel more connected and balanced to your shadow being in your light and your love, so to say. Because oftentimes what we find is, our shadow usually comes from, childhood patterns, childhood traumas, times where maybe we felt abandoned, times where we may have been abused, times where we could have been neglected, and things of that nature. Those are usually the things that kind of develop shadows, so to say. And then those shadows just become patterns and behaviors and other things like that. And we do our shadow work. The shadow work is coming to a conscious acknowledgement of these things real time while they're happening, and being accountable for it within your own sovereign vessel. And then realizing that you have tools and different ways of life that are designed for you and with you to assist you along the way, to integrate your shadow, which is just coming back to your balanced self instead of staying in the polarities of the contrast. In your balanced self, you're in your Christ consciousness, you're in your light, and you're balanced with all that is. When you're balanced with all that is, you're not on a side and you're not one or the other. You just feel the whole connection, and you're just connected to the fluid oneness that we are. So the shadow, we can go on for days about it, but I'm gonna leave off there so we can continue forward and kind of talk about some ways that you can integrate shadow and work with your shadow work with these wonderful crystal gemstones. Back to you, brother.
There's actually something that just popped into my mind, and this comes from the Buddhist religion or belief, and it is a little phrase, and it goes along the lines of demon hand, Buddha heart, and it talks basically about the shadow, and it's referencing how we have to be dualistic in our nature, that we will have an earthly hand, an earthly attachment, but remember our divinity and remember the Buddha within us, and to embrace that heart of hearts with the Buddha heart. That's something that popped into my mind.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So you wanted to jump into the gemstones now?
Sure thing, we definitely can.
Okay. So working with different various stones can be quite the experience. Sorry?
Pull up the images.
Yeah. So working with various gemstones can be quite entertaining when working with the shadow. Many ways that I've gone about doing this. Some of these themes will be brought up in over the episodes, but some of these things are multifaceted in nature. Going back to crystal grids, personally, I've always used crystal grids as a way to communicate with the subconscious. And whenever I get my grid ready, I select my stones that I want to work with, and then I intuitively feel what it is I'm trying to represent through my mind. And whenever I finish the grid, I'll look at it and I'll just stare at the energy and the motion of how the energy is flowing in between each crystal. And when I look at it long enough and with an open mind, I definitely see the message that the crystals are telling me, and I can see where I need to work on, or what message I need to work on, if there's a chakra that needs to be addressed, or if there's an imbalance based off of the position of the stone or what stone it's next to. So crystal gridding is one of the best and easiest ways to start working with the shadow self and the subconscious. And again, it just goes along with the lines of working with the subconscious, letting yourself communicate with your unconscious mind by letting it speak through your conscious actions with spiritual tools. Transcendental meditation, traditional meditation, however you want to call it, taking yourself, sitting in a neutral position, either lotus position or laying flat on your back, and just clearing your mind, doing the Om, whatever it is that helps you zero your mind out. That will be a key tool to integrating yourself, integrating your shadow, and addressing and acknowledging your shadow. Along the lines of that, there's also journaling and forms of art and therapy and other ways of divination. We'll be doing some divination too. So working with tarot or oracle cards would also be great. But sticking along the lines of crystals, various stones have helped me on my journey, and this is actually a piece that I have made. Let me get this off real quick. There we go. This is a piece I made, and it wasn't intended to be a shadow stone necklace, but it has a lot to it with the shadow stones. So one of the shadow stones that I really figured would be great to talk about would be smoky amethyst. This is really dark amethyst, but we're going to say it's smoky amethyst. And then it has charoite, hyperstein, and really that's all the important ones for the shadow work stones. And we'll be going over these ones lightly. It's not going to be super in depth, but if you want to pull up just any of those crystal images, Marcus, and we'll go from there. Okay, so this one is Vivianite. Vivianite, known for its green color and its otherworldly connections. And when I say otherworldly, it's known to grow on corpses and dead remains and stuff like that. So it's got a connection to death. And the reason why I thought Vivianite would be great for working with the shadow self is because it has that deathly connection. So when we face our mortality or face our fears, it triggers something within our brain, the amygdala specifically, and it strikes something at the height or fight or flight response, and it makes us in a more heightened aware sense. And Vivianite is one of those crystals that has a lot to it. It's very unique in color and texture. It's kind of, if you could imagine what kryptonite is, and as far as like DC Comics and Superman and all that stuff, this is honestly what you would probably think of as being kryptonite. I know a lot of people go to moldavite, but Vivianite, it's just got that unearthly green, kind of eerie green. Have you worked with Vivianite before, Marcus?
So actually, I haven't, and like just looking at it right now, like with my third eye, it's just like I know, like just you said, a lot of people think moldavite is like maybe the highest frequency or something, but like I'm feeling this right now, and I get this like it's almost like a Green Lantern feeling,
Right.
like the Green Lantern superhero character. And you'd have that ring, and it'd be able to like transform things. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the vibration I get. Is that yeah? Because I feel like moldavite has that meteorite energy, but then it also has that earth energy balancing it too, though. This one, oof.
Yeah, so Vivianite, it's found in various regions throughout the world. Most recognizable places will be from Brazil or Russia. It's not the most easily obtained. It's not super hard to find. It can be expensive and it can be affordable. It really depends on what size and quality you're looking for. But working with Vivianite, it's very invigorating. It's very I want to say not blunt, but like straight to the point, and it will help you cut with decisiveness. So when working with the shadow, it's really going to help you mentally perceive what it is that needs to be addressed. And I feel like the healing aspect, not just because of the color, but because of my experience with it, along with the color, it's going to work with your heart center, and it's going to help stimulate that loving energy that needs to be there in order to address those things with the shadow. So pull up the next one.
Awesome. Definitely gonna look into that one.
All right, another death crystal, stibnite. This one's very interesting. It's got a lot of lore to it. It's known as one of the most toxic toxic crystals. I think it depends on how it's not absorbed, how it's consumed. That used to be used in metalware or like silverware, and it ended up poisoning people because of the antimony, which is like some form of, I think, lead and silver put together, something like that. Anyways, it's not completely safe, but it's not completely harmless. So be careful when working with stibnite. But stibnite, it's a really shiny, lustrous, kind of metallic crystal, kind of brittle when you hold it in your hand. So be careful. Again, this one is connected to the death realm, but it really works great with the shadow side and the shadow work and the shadow self. So stibnite has a very raw primal energy, and it really pulls things from the bottom and pushes them through the top on the energetic sense. But when it comes to the emotions and the spiritual, like I said, being connected to the death realm, it's going to have that kind of stare right back at you, like if it was the abyss. And for some people, that can be intimidating. Some people enjoy that thrill of seeking the unknown. So looking into your shadow and really looking in the things that you want to find and address, this is another great crystal that's going to help you facilitate what you should be working on and how you should address these issues that you're dealing with.
That's another one I haven't worked with either. Wow.
That's a good one. It's fun to work with stibnite. Just be careful. Wash your hands after you work with it. Next one.
I'm gonna put on the full screen for a second.
Okay.
So does this have like a metallic look to it?
Yeah, it's a very shiny, silvery. It has traces of certain metallic elements. I don't know for certain if it is a metal-bearing crystal or considered a metal-bearing crystal like iron or pyrite, for instance. But it's got a lot to it chemically.
Wow. Very fascinating.
And then this one's really interesting. I talked about it on my necklace. This one is hyperstein. Hyperstein has iron in it. I think it also has manganese or iron manganese, along the lines of that. But it has this really nice reflective surface. And originally, I found my first piece of hyperstein up in Sedona. And the information I saw with that stone is not like anything you'll see online. And I'm glad I found it the way I found it, because I really align with the stuff that I saw in Sedona. And basically what it said in Sedona with that little card and the little crystal bin was that this was a good protection stone and a good one from shielding you against unwanted energies and really giving you a cloak over your aura. Now, like I said, you're not really going to find that online anywhere. But the reason why I feel this one is really good for shadow work is because it does have that kind of reflective flash when you move it around in the light. It displays the light in a certain various array. And it's good for insight, which some people will say, but it really does kind of soothe you as you are sifting through that shadow. And it kind of reminds me of just that light in the dark, and it makes you want to hug your shadow self. It's a very key stone for, what's the word I'm trying to find? It's a keystone for like making good friends with that part of yourself that you've neglected for so long. If you want to call it your what's the word again? Child wound? Not child wound. You know what I'm trying to say, right? I really can't remember right now.
I know what you're trying to describe.
Yeah, like it's
The
like
way
the
that I
child
kind of
self
see
or
it too is
child
like,
wound. Can't remember.
oh, the inner child
Inner
wound.
child. There we go. Inner child. It's good for the inner child and making good with the inner child again. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay. I didn't think that's what you were talking about. I was like, he would say that. I was like, okay, yeah,
No,
inner
my mind
child.
was
I pick up on that
yeah.
too.
So
I
yeah,
pick up
don't
like
neglect the inner child.
I pick up like a. So the way I guess I can describe it is like a dark feminine energy. And what I mean by dark feminine is like just that purification going into, okay, so Greek mythology, Persephone.
Yeah.
That's like what I'm talking about and describing basically is that dark feminine energy of like going into the underworld, sitting with your inner child, sitting with your wounds, sitting with those aspects of yourself, and basically holding it with your own unconditional love and divine feminine energy. Is that what you're kind of picking up on?
No, I honestly can see a lot of that, and like while you were talking about that, with the legend of Persephone and Hades, like this isn't based off anything. This is literally just popped into my head. But like, if the god Hades could manifest something, I would imagine this would be the stone he would create to honor Persephone. Just that forbidden love in the dark that they had to hide for so long and was forbidden. You know,
Wow.
that's the vibes I get off of that. So that's really cool.
I felt that one. Yeah, this one's a very interesting one too. Wow, these are a good bunch so far.
Hmm.
So is it just me, or does it kind of also have like a tiger's eye look to it?
That's just this piece specifically. It's gonna look different based off how it's polished and cut and where it broke from how they polish it. It's
Okay.
gonna be like a silvery labradorite that has a black background, basically.
Ah, okay. Beautiful.
Now, this is not labradorite. This is actually one of my favorites. This is numite. Now, numite can be easily misidentified with a various group of different minerals. It's kind of funny. But numite traditionally comes from Greenland, and it's the only place it come from. So if you see someone saying it's like Chinese numite, it's not numite. If it doesn't look like something like that, then it's not numite. Just plain and simple. So be aware because numite is very expensive to find and procure and secure. Anyways, numite is one of the oldest stones on the planet. When I say old, it's I think 2.8 billion years old, if memory serves correct. But it's up there. It's in the billions of years old. And numite, it's got a lot of magic and sorcery connected to it. The reason I feel it's great for shadow work is one, because it's connected to such ancient parts of the earth. It's going to draw out a lot of ancient healing, and it's going to give you a connection, a direct connection to ancient parts of like physical earth. So that's the one thing I really like about crystals is it connects you to that specific location. And so when you have age in that present or in that piece of crystal, it adds a lot to kind of just the lore, not the lore, but like it adds to the mystery that you may procure or not procure that you may imagine when you are first holding that stone. And it's just baffling to think it's that old, billions of years old, literally billions of years old. I have a piece right here. It's a ring. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It has a little bit of a golden flash. Oh, there we go. So that golden flash is actually a mineral called pyrrhotite. Um, but And Numite, it's a nice golden little flaky thing, but that purotite is what gives it its nice flash and color. And there's a few things that kind of oxidize around it, and not in this piece, but kind of like the piece that was right there. You'll see a little bit of blue and green, but it's mostly going to be those gold long lines and streaks. And it's like it's filling the aura up with those golden lights, and it's shooting it through its crystalline structure, pushing everything through those purotite crystals, and harmonizing your field and your body. Numite has so much history with sorcery. It's a very powerful, ancient, magical stone. If you can find a real good piece, then honestly get it. It's going to be worth it, and it's going to take you far. I have had a lot of great experiences because of Numite and the healing around Numite.
Numite. No, I think I have interacted with that once, but only once though. Yeah, and you really put me on today. That says a lot because I know a lot of crystals. Awesome.
Do the one with the skull because it's going to
cool.
be a good comparison to Numite. The picture I sent with the skull. That one. Okay, if you could zoom in just a little bit. Are you able to? Yes, perfect. Okay, so that looks a lot like Numite. It gets confused for Numite, but this is actually our Arfedzonite. Our Arfedzonite is very, very similar in look. Its chemical composition's a little bit different. It does have bits of garnet in it. You won't be able to see it in that picture. But interestingly enough, I actually got that crystal skull from the lady that is the keeper of the third ancient crystal skull called Sammy. And I'll just leave it at that. So it's connected to ancient crystal skull energy. So Arfedzonite, these all get confused. Arfedzonite is a really good stone, even though it gets misinterpreted as being Numite. Arfedzonite is its own gracious, elegant piece of wonder. And the reason why I feel it's a really good key shadow work stone is one, it has that same kind of energy as Numite, but this one is going to work more for self-discipline. It's going to work more for, I want to say, your sacral, whereas the Numite will work with your solar plexus. So like they look so similar, but they're just going to work very subtly different. But the thing that you'll notice with the Arfedzonite is it's going to have those long streaky flashes, and they're typically actually going to be more blue in color. It really just depends on the angle you're looking at on that specific crystal that is in the picture, but it's going to be blue to gold, and it's really not going to have any of that green that might show up in the Numite. But like I said, it typically gets confused for Numite, but it's going to have pieces, really tiny dark pieces of garnet hidden throughout the crystal, and it's actually considered a metamorphic rock. It's not an individual crystal. It's a combination of different elements and minerals pushed together, and they formed to grow this great thing that we call Arfedzonite. Are you there, Marcus?
There we go.
Yeah, I was frozen for a second.
All right, so go into the next one.
Yeah, any of them is fine.
Oh,
okay.
Boy.
This specific crystal I call the Heart of Africa. This one is a really nice Namibian Brandberg smoky amethyst scepter, double terminated with hydro. Like this crystal is insane. It's pretty up there in my collection. Anyways, it's a nice smoky amethyst. It's one of the nicer ones in my collection, if you can't tell. But smoky amethyst I picked specifically for shadow work because in the few online references there are for shadow work crystals, a lot of them will say amethyst. And just my experience with these stones and working with these energies for so long is you're going to want smoky amethyst for shadow work. Amethyst on its own is more of a spiritual crystal, in my opinion. and it's going to give you the spiritual wisdom, the information, the activation, the downloads. Whereas smoky amethyst will give you that, but it's going to give it to you in a more digestible way with the smoky quartz. And the smoky quartz is going to pull out whatever confusion or fears or misunderstanding of yourself or whatever it is that you're working on, and it's going to transmute it. It's going to make it digestible, like I said. And smoky amethyst just has that feature of that blended color, and those blended colors really do make a difference in how they're impacting your energetic body and the subtle body. And when you work with these crystals on a more personal level, these slight variations in them do make a huge difference. They really can make a big difference. And I know you worked with some of this, so tell me some of the experiences you've had with the smoky amethyst.
Oh man, so smoky quartz was actually like the number one stone that was like coming up for me coming into this episode. And I think it's just because of the natural relationship I had with it in the beginning of my journey. And yeah, there's something about smoky quartz where it really brings this like securing but also mirroring look of energy where you're kind of like you're being brought into looking at the shadows, but it's also from like what feels like a more grounded and secure standpoint of doing so. And while that happens, that quartz energy is really able to be a ultimate transmuter with your intentions. And then you bring that into the blend with amethyst. The amethyst then helps bring that balance of the upper dimensions to that through that crown energy. That's like, oh man, it's such a good balance of energy for you because you're getting that grounded and secure energy facing the shadows. And then that amethyst helps you with transmutation and then being able to release and let go of that energy and transform it. So smoky amethyst together, yeah, that's like, I feel like at the top of the list or pretty close to the top of the list of just super complimentary.
It made so much sense to me when I was putting the list together that smoky amethyst would be good for shadow work.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to show you guys this as well. This is a celestial, and it's smoky quartz and hematite.
That's a pretty killer piece, man. Pretty killer. Ooh, yeah. It's a tabby too.
I love smoky. I mean, I wish this wasn't on the stream, because if it was on a stream, it'd be even better, but it's nice. It's even got that heart shape to it, so you can like hold it like a heart in your hand. It's got a lot of the spots in it too. But yeah, this is my ultimate grounder and shadow grounding stone right here. This is I actually keep it at the foot of my bed.
Nice.
And that's another thing too is you guys can place these crystals, under your bed or around your bed, different areas of your room. You could even make crystal grids too with these stones for the intentions of helping, balance your shadow work and things like that. Shall we go to the next?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, this one
good.
was a really easy pick, at least for me. But I saw online some other people agreed. So it was cool how that was kind of a synchronicity. But black kyanite, specifically black kyanite, I felt would be great for shadow work because it's really a nice interdimensional crystal traditionally, and it has that activation of psychic abilities. But I feel because not just its color, but because of what it's connected to, that it works a little bit better than any of the other kyanites. If you are able to like just visually compare them on your own, black kyanite has more of like it's called a witch's broom structure, and other kyanites, I mean, they're all kind of like a kind of straight up and down energy flow of crystalline structure, but the black kyanite, it's more sprayed out, and you'll see it, like I said, in a witch's broom kind of array, and just the way it shoots energy off of itself, it just works really good on an energetic sense. I feel that the black kyanite would be best to use for meditation. You're not going to really find that in any type of jewelry just because it's so brittle and fragile. One thing that does pop into mind is they typically get black kyanite and then they aura coat it with titanium, or it's called titanium aura. I didn't get a picture, but I personally enjoy titanium aura kyanite. I'm not a big fan of most of the aura quartz typically and honestly, but I do enjoy titanium aura kyanite. I've had some really good experiences. It's got this nice peacock blue with some rainbow colors to it. And just black kyanite really does help with the psychic abilities. And it's going to be very, again, decisive. It's going to help you cut through the BS and just make you more aware of, I would say, yourself and your actions. And I definitely feel it can help you be more present in the moment.
Kyanite is such a fascinating stone, especially the diversity of it too. And what I also love about it is that it's a natural deflector and absorber as well. So it has no problem with taking on or deflecting energy. And if I believe correctly, isn't it one of few stones that actually cleanses itself?
Yes, I forgot to mention that, but I was thinking that it is one of the few self-cleansing stones.
Yeah.
So it's going to have a purifying effect to it.
Yes. And then you can get many different shades of it for different intentional purposes, like blue kyanite, green kyanite, indigo. I know there's orange too. So you can get a wide array of the different dimensions to work with when it comes to the kyanite family. Good old kyanite. Ooh.
All right, awesome. This one is golden selenite. I felt most drawn to the golden selenite for shadow work because if you kind of notice, a lot of the colors are black with these stones. So golden selenite, I feel, would be a nice kind of counteract or counterbalance to the darkness, and it fills you with that golden light. As I mean, selenite is going to be used at some point in this video, but golden selenite specifically for the shadow self and the shadow work, I feel like again, it's going to work with that inner child aspect of you, and it's going to fill up those parts of yourself that need to be filled up with light and love. Have you worked with golden selenite before?
No, but wow, that is so beautiful.
I got really lucky. This is the nice golden selenite from Arizona that someone sourced locally. But you can find polished pieces that are in the shape of a sphere or a heart. I haven't really seen them in the sticks too much, but they're pretty affordable. But this is just a nicer piece from Arizona. But it's going to have the same healing properties as selenite, just with the golden ray and the golden healing.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like, whew, I love selenite, and I actually have peach selenite,
Yeah,
and
that's the same thing.
I really like the peach selenite because it brings that. It's the same thing.
Yeah, golden selenite, peach selenite, there's the same thing. Just marketing names. I
Oh,
will say
okay.
really quickly,
Um,
there is a special type of golden selenite that comes directly out of, I think, Quebec, Canada, or British Columbia, Canada, or maybe it's even Vancouver. I can't remember at this exactly. I know it's from Canada, but it's some of the like most top-notch, beautiful selenite in the world, and it's got these nice golden blades. So there is that type of golden selenite if you are curious about that. But this is not yet anywhere near the
hey,
same thing. Okay. Yeah, that's golden selenite.
yeah, yeah. I love this thing, man. There's something about it, especially the shape of it.
Yeah, it's got a nice
So
like
like if you just swipe
straightforward
it,
tabular.
yeah, the swiping with it is so nice. And it's really good for Reiki if you're doing Reiki sessions on people or yourself. You can use it to swipe energy, kind of like a almost like a card. You know, like you use a card to like swipe something out off a table or something. It's really easy to swipe with, and I feel like it also with the shade of it and the tone that it sets, it's like good for clearing out your sacral and that inner child energy. Cool. I actually got that at the Gift of Light Expo in Columbus,
Okay,
Ohio.
nice. Was there any more pictures? I forgot to send a few of the crystals on the list. If not, we'll just briefly go over them verbally.
Is this all of them?
Oh, there we go.
Ah,
Okay, so
there
this
we
is a
go.
nice piece. It's an interesting one to talk about. This is specifically called Turgtite, and more specifically, I felt like I probably am not saying this right, so don't come at me. But it's like goethite or geothite. It's not geothite. It's like goethite. That's mineral specifically, which is the overgrowth with the rainbow colors. This is mixed with hematite and the geothite. We're just gonna say geothite. I know it's not correct. We're gonna go with that. It's easier for me. So the geothite with the hematite makes these really cool colors, and this comes from specifically Graves Mountain, Georgia. But geothite specifically, you can find it in individual inclusions of, I believe, amethyst or not amethyst. Yeah, amethyst. You can find it in pieces of amethyst, and you can find it in quartz on its own. You also can find just pieces of geothite. I don't have one, so we just use this one for reference. So specifically, it's really good for empowerment. It's really good for directly handling the inner conflict within oneself. Typically, it's a black stone. This one just happens to be a rainbow colored, but it's got this really nice, unique energy to it that you really won't be able to find in a more structured crystal. It's more of like a brittly, bushy type of formation in its growth, but it's just got this really unique energy to it, and I really am drawn to it for many reasons.
Hmm. I kind of get it like I kind of get like a reptile dragon energy from it, from like the texture of it and the tone. Very interesting.
And then if you could put
I
the camera on. What? Okay, that's fine. I said I was going to ask you to put the
Go ahead.
camera on me the next stone that I wanted to talk about, which I forgot to get a picture of, but it's on my necklace, so we'll just go along with that. This purple stone right here isn't amethyst, even though this one is. It looks like it, but it's actually a purple stone called charoite. Charoite comes from Russia. It's a very good healing for a lot of different reasons, but it works with the heart, throat, and the crown. It also it's going to align all of those simultaneously, so a lot like moldavite will do that. But charoite, it's going to work on past life karma. It's going to address those soul tearing issues that you've always been struggling with. It's got a lot of spiritual energy. It looks a lot like this other crystal from Russia called seraphinite, which is totally unrelated, but it's going to look like these kind of wavy growth lines of silvery and purple. Charoite is very near and dear to my heart for many years now, and it's always been very uplifting for me. It's always felt like
Ascension stones.
What? It's always felt like a really good companion in my journey. Have you worked with charoite before?
No, I have not.
Oh my goodness. You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, no. I'm definitely a student today.
That's
I
okay.
love being a student.
The last crystal we'll talk about for shadow work is going to be another one I don't have a picture of, and I only have a few beads, so we're going to use our imagination, unless you want to look it up while I talk. But it's called iolite, IOLITE. It's this really nice indigo, blue, purpley crystal. It's got a little bit of pleochlorism, so depending on the piece, depending on the way you look at it, it can shift from a really dark indigo blue to almost a brownish black color. It's really cool. It's also called a water sapphire. It's a good replacement for sapphire if you're looking for something along the lines of that color. Spiritually, it's very different than sapphire. Iolite is a very heavy shaman stone. It's going to help you integrate and facilitate different methods of doing spiritual kung fu with yourself. It's going to really test you and really question you and make you really question yourself. Iolite is one of those stones that you can use visually because of its color display sometimes. Some pieces have bits of sunstone in them, or they'll have like rainbow confetti kind of designs. But iolite, you can use visually for meditation if it's a nice enough piece. And if you stare at it and just let yourself lose yourself in the gaze of the stone, iolite will draw you in. And I haven't had too much experiences doing that because I haven't had a big enough piece to work with. But with my interaction with doing that with similar other stones for different reasons, it's almost like scrying. Not like scrying with the crystal ball, but just scrying with the intent that the crystal has a message for you, and whatever you're perceiving is the message that is meant for you in that moment. These messages usually come in images that are familiar to us, or just simplified versions of things that we've seen. But yeah, that's what I have for iolite.
I like iolite. I have worked with that one. That is one I have worked with.
Okay.
So I got a piece
that one?
right here. Oh, shaman stone.
Shaman stone? What's
shaman
that one?
Stone's also a pretty good one to use as well.
I think that's a prophecy stone.
So shaman stone.
Is that one from Egypt?
Yeah, it's really good for just ancestral earth energy, tapping into the old patterns, accessing the ancient wisdom, and grounding into the wisdom of the ancestors as well, to help with breaking the patterns and clearing the shadows as well. And then I'm pretty sure we had this on the list, didn't we? A black moonstone?
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about it. But yes, I felt Moonstone itself would be good for shadow work, but specifically Black Moonstone is definitely going to give you a lot of access to the subconscious, and it's really going to lift that veil between the conscious and the unconscious part of your mind, and it makes it a good bridge for working with the mind when using crystals alongside of it. But yeah, Black Moonstone is really good for that. I forgot to mention it. We'll definitely do a little thing at the end, so stay tuned for that. But happy new moon! Shadow work with new moon energy. So yeah, we'll do a little card pull at the end for that.
Yes. I look forward to that. Guys, stay put for the oracle reading. And if you want to, hit that share button and share it to some others so they can be a part of the fun and receive the oracle message. Oh yeah, check out this flame. Black moonstone flame.
That's a really nice one. It's a big one.
It's actually from the shop of she's in the comments on Instagram, Lunar Queen 21. It's actually from her shop. She's part of my community, so I set up crystals at my events. Yeah, I set up her crystals at my events and stuff like that.
Love it.
Just $68. That's it.
That's a good.
68,
that's a really
guys.
good deal.
Got all sorts of good stuff out there. Black moonstone. Are there any other crystals that you wanted to go over?
More crystals, but not for shadow work. We're gonna do a little integration talk and kind of like what to do after you do the shadow work. But if you wanted to do anything before that, that's gonna be for the integration.
Yeah. So you go over integration?
Yeah. So just think of shadow work almost like you kind of said earlier, shadow boxing with yourself, or just working out in a sense that you're working.
Man, what is going on?
Okay. Do you need me to repeat what I said?
I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi today.
You need me to repeat anything?
Okay. So what were you just saying?
Okay, so kind of like what you said earlier with shadow boxing with shadow boxing with yourself. Shadow work is definitely, it can be taxing and it can take a toll on you physically, physiologically, emotionally, and mentally. It's stored trauma. Sometimes it's stored trauma in the body, in the mind, or somewhere in the emotional self. So I wanted to talk about how to integrate the shadow work and some things to do to help the process along while still maintaining spiritual hygiene and coping mechanisms that are healthy for you to continue to do the shadow work. Otherwise, you might spiral out of control.
Yes. That's a beautiful thing that you brought up.
It really is.
Absolutely.
Do you have any experiences or things that you want to see first?
Yeah, sure. I want to talk about the importance of grounding in our life and just the benefit of grounding and what that can bring when it comes to shadow work. And grounding, if you guys go back to our second episode, you guys can actually watch us talk about grounding in depth, as well as different crystals you can use for grounding. But grounding, in short, is that metaphysical connection, that magnetism that is fluid and connected to the earth from our being or our aura or energy field. And that magnetic current of connection is basically like our streamline to feeling the lifeline, the abundance, and the co-creativeness of Mother Gaia and all that she is to provide us to be able to live and continue to grow and expand and experience as a human being. So with that being said, when we have this connection going very fluidly, very clear with the earth, it provides stability. It provides a foundation of more safety and that feeling of having all that you need, that internal peace, as well as a healthy nervous system and a more solid foundation. So when you have that and you continue to stay grounded in your day-to-day basis while going through your patterns, going through your shadow work, you're then able to not be so swept up by them or also consumed or taken over by the impulses, by the shadows, by the unconscious behaviors, the triggers, and much more. And also with that, part of grounding is having a healthy root chakra. And your root chakra, if you have an unhealthy root chakra, you're going to be present with the senses of emotion that manifests into fear, pain, anger, resentment, feeling stagnant, and basically being non-capable of continuing forward when it comes to your being and your mentality of the safety you feel in this life and in this world. So with that being said, when you have this foundation more clear going into your shadow work and just going into your day-to-day basis of what could come up and what can happen, you're then able to face things from a more slow down, more patient, more observer, and more detached state because of being grounded. And I just can't emphasize enough like how much of a difference it makes when you're grounded in your day-to-day basis. Because I know for me, I can easily get swept by the mental energies of life or by creating or just by, the different things that come through in life to be able to attach to, react to, and feel the energy of, especially when it comes to other people. So yeah, I'll definitely say grounding is a pretty nice key to having pretty conscious and foundational shadow work. And I'll also add into there too, this is probably more of like the heart chakra, I'd say. But giving yourself grace and giving yourself, giving yourself room to make mistakes that, again, as we were talking about earlier, you're not your shadows, you're not your experiences, not the things that you go through, but they are experiences for you to go through in a moment. And there's something that you can take from them. And with that, giving yourself grace, allowing yourself to feel unconditional love from the Creator, from all that we are, knowing that we were meant to be here, to go through different experiences, as well as alchemize, interchange, shift, and all these wonderful things that we do daily. So yeah, I definitely want to give those reminders, grounding and giving yourself grace as you go through your shadow work, remembering that it's part of the journey, and ultimately it's giving you more wisdom, more strength, more capabilities in this world as you go through it and you integrate it. What about you?
I can't remember exactly where this quote comes from or who said it specifically. I know it comes from, I think, the show Avatar, but something that was said was in our lowest moments we are open to the greatest states of change, or something along the lines of that. And I feel like that's really relevant. You kind of touched upon it, but I feel like working with the heart chakra, or more specifically the higher heart chakra, is going to be key for the healing and for the integration, and also for some of the shadow work itself directly. But one thing I really wanted to say I felt was important for the shadow work is, when you are ready for the shadow work and you're ready to address things, come from a place of sincerity and honesty. Just because someone's telling you, hey, you need to work on this, doesn't mean you are ready to work on it. So when the readiness comes from within, then the work will lay itself out for you. And some of the things that you want to do to maintain your mental well-being for this process is, you're going to want to do movement. You're going to want to do motions. I would say do the 30-minute transcendental meditation, get a good idea of self-reflection, and then do 15 minutes of qigong or dancing. I would say just do dancing, straight dancing. It doesn't have to be intentional, but just doing something to circulate the energy through the system, through the lymph nodes, through all of that, and really work with those lower parts of your abdomen and your core. Activating that through motion, it's just going to make the process all that much easier. And what else was I going to say? I would just say, take the time to really work on yourself, not work on yourself, really be gentle on yourself while you're doing the shadow work. It can bring up quite a lot of trauma. One of my most intense moments of shadow work was when, at the time, I had an epiphany where, like I said, this is at the time, I felt like I both loved myself and I hated myself. And when I had that epiphany, I had a really interesting experience. It's called the brain hemisphere sync. But I felt like I was perceiving my entire life this way, and I felt everything shift to be centered. And when it centered in my brain, I cried from both eyes at the exact same time. And it's pretty spectacular and kind of weird to experience that. If you've ever cried and you've taken notice, you usually cry from one eye or the other. But to have that happen and have it after such a profound realization of myself, it really opened me up to how much healing I needed to really do and how much I needed to work on. But I would say I'm ready for the integration crystals, and then we can pull the card. Unless you wanted to add anything to that, Marcus.
Nope.
Okay.
I am definitely with you.
All right.
Keep on
So
flowing.
I thought of a small list of nothing crazy, but just a good companion of a list of stones that are good for integration of the shadow work. We don't have any pictures. We just made a small list because it was just last minute detail. But essentially, kind of like with the shadow work list, the first one that comes to mind is working with selenite. Golden selenite is going to be good for that inner child healing. Selenite is going to clear everything out, kind of fill you with that light and purify your aura and get everything cycling through your energy. And it's definitely going to be good to work with while you're sleeping. So have the piece of selenite under your pillow for good rest and calm mind. And I would say just make sure to really work with the selenite, if anything. I unfortunately forgot to mention it while we were on the topic, but a lot of people in the few videos that you will find on shadow work and crystals will say obsidian is good for shadow work. I would say obsidian is good for integration. Now, when it comes to the shadow work stuff, I would definitely suggest using Apache's tier. It has this inclusion in it that Did that just break? I'm sorry,
It's already
Marcus. Did
like
that
that.
just break? Oh,
But look,
okay. I thought it just broke. I was like, what happened?
it looks like a
Okay.
scalpel.
It does.
It's like a scalpel
That
and
looks
knife.
really cool. It does. You distracted me though. Oh yeah, so
And this is a stone.
yeah, that's really cool. But
Great for
Apache's
shadow work.
tier
Cutting
is a
cords.
form of obsidian that's more connected to dealing with your grief and your sorrows, where obsidian itself, it's basically a weird form of smoky quartz. So we know that we already talked about the smoky quartz and we've talked about it in the quartz episode, but smoky quartz is definitely going to be more for transmuting energy. So even though it's a little different, the obsidian is going to carry some of that energy with it, and it's definitely more of an amplifier. So when you use the Apache's tier versus the obsidian, it's going to be a little bit more calming and a little bit more uh, subjective to what you're trying to work on. Now, the reason why I feel obsidian would be good for the integration is because it does have that uplifting, energizing effect, and it does pull energy up from the earth into you or the stone itself or the energy around it. So obsidian would be good for the integration period. Another one that I forgot to mention that was on the shadow work list, but will still be used for the integration is labradorite. Now on the shadow work side, I would say larvikite would be best for shadow work specifically, but labradorite on its own, I would say would be great for. Sorry, I'm burping. Labradorite would be great for the integration. It's going to give you that kind of what I mentioned with the aerolite, where if you gaze into it and you kind of move it and shift it and just lose yourself in the gaze, it kind of creates a meditative trance. And it's hard to really explain the science of how it all works because it's kind of mystical, but it's kind of not. But when you take the stone and you hold it and you shift it and you let those light codes and light display hit your eyes and retinal, that coded information will, if you allow it, that coded information will hit your brain and it'll stimulate something in you, and you can physically feel it. So when you work with the labradorite, that's the really good one for the helping you self-reflect on whatever it is you're trying to integrate. Optical calcite. Optical calcite is going to be another one that I would highly suggest for working with the integration period. Optical calcite or Icelandic spar, however you want to say it. It's kind of grown in a rhombohedral pattern, not a direct cube, but a parallelogram. So it's this type of calcite that has this really unique property where it double reflects everything that you can look through. So if I have this right here, you're going to see an overlay and you're going to see two of them. And the reason why I feel that's so important for many reasons is because it's going to give you a shifted perspective. And in the meditative work that I've done with that on a tangible level, there are times where I've gotten my crystal and I've literally just stared at stuff and looked at it and got lost in it and let my eyes train my brain to perceive new insight and new wisdom. And it's not even like, that's not even woo. That's real stuff that I've done that works on a scientific level. And you really can apply some of these crystals in their natural state to your practice, and you will have experiences that you are not prepared for fully, but you should be prepared for the Icelandic spar for many reasons. But it's really gentle. It's easy to work with. One of my favorite ways to meditate with it is lay on my back, on my head, and place it right here at that little soft sensitive spot where the visual cortex is in the back of the brain. Being connected to the back of the brain and also to your sight, it's going to be a direct link again to your subconscious and to your unconscious mind. But it also, I can't remember what it's called, but that spot right here, that is one of the more sensitive and more spiritual, I think it's a meridian point, or it might be its own chakra, but it's really connected to a lot of the spiritual energy held within your mind. Is that Icelandic spar or is that sonnet? I can't tell. It's a little fuzzy. But working with that for meditative
It's not in
reasons.
Spark?
Okay, yeah. No, I was saying
should come through
Icelandic
better.
spar. Anyways.
Yeah, you can see on the end there. It's like it's a little scopy looking thing.
Yeah.
Like
But
you can't even tell
meditative
like if it's the
practices.
inside. Or...
Anyways. So Icelandic spar, optical calcite, whatever you want to call it. That's one of the good ones for integrating. Oh, you correct me up, guy. And then there was. Can you refresh me on my list? Did I go through them all, or is there one more that I'm forgetting? Oh yeah, clear quartz. Clear quartz, another good one for integration. So if you're feeling drained, you're feeling mentally fatigued or emotionally fatigued, you're gonna want to use clear quartz. Just carry it in your pocket, and that's gonna help energize you back to your optimal level of where you should be, and keep you at your baseline. So working with the clear quartz, I mean, like I said, just keep it in your pocket. But if you want to do your own other practices, feel free to do so. Just make sure you're grounding, make sure you're hydrating. That's going to be another key thing. And really take the time to take care of yourself, but also take time to self-reflect on what it is you've just done for yourself. And some people like to go to life coaches or even shadow coaches for that specifically. But I myself feel I am my best teacher and my best, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, I feel everything comes from within. So these are the things that I've done for myself that have helped me on my journey. If you have support groups, go for your support groups. Always reach out if you need a helping hand. Anything else you want to add before we do our card pull, Marcus? I'm going to give you a second to pop on, or I don't know what happened. It's Wi-Fi. Are you still there? Okay, so we'll just continue. So right here, I have. Oh, there you are. Did you log off?
Oh, no, it just like kicked me out.
Okay, so are we still streaming? Are we live? Are we good?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay. All right, so we'll just continue to the final thing. Because it's the new moon, we've been talking about shadow work and ways to integrate the shadow self and all that healing stuff. I really wanted to bring out my Star Dragon Oracle deck, not a tarot deck, an Oracle deck. This one is really unique, though, that it was made with the idea of the tarot. And this one has, let me double check because I don't want to sound ignorant. It has the exact number of major arcana cards as there are oracle cards in this deck. So it's connected to basically the major arcana, but it has its own theme. And so what's really cool about this deck, the reason why it's called Star Dragons, is because there's a constellation hidden in every card. And there's like 3 messages for each card. There's the message of the dragon or the dragon's wisdom, and I'm going to say it's basically the dragon rider, but every picture contains a kind of humanoid person with the dragon, and it's like the dragon rider's message, and then it also has the star message. So we're going to shuffle real quick, and we're going to pull a card. And the intention behind this is to see what insight we may gain or whatever message comes through for what to do for this next new moon. And not specifically what to do, but more specifically, I should say, what key aspect of our shadow self we may need to focus on or need to integrate. So just give it a couple more shuffles and I'll pull a card. All right, and then I'm going to cut it one more time. Shuffle, shuffle, and then. All right, we got. This is a good one. We got returning, going with the flow. Is that, yeah, returning, going with the flow. I don't know if you can read that perfectly. I know it's a little backwards on the screen, but just go with it. So number 20, going with the flow or returning. It's got everything in different languages, so I just got to find it real quick. There we go. So this card is connected with Ursa Major. I'm not sure where it is on the card. I haven't really looked at it specifically in a while, but it's connected to Ursa Major. The wisdom of, it's called the Herald in the booklet, but we're calling it the Dragon Rider. Seasons change and the universe ebbs and flows. The constellations shift, and in the midst of all the great change of life, your ability to juggle whatever comes your way is seemingly the only constant. Move with whatever changes come your way, flow with it, roll with it, be like water. By flowing and remaining in constant motion, this element breaks down even the mightiest obstacles. Now, the message from the dragon, it says, I'm back, spring to life, better than ever. It's time for renewal. Return to the scene after a long recess to take charge and conquer. You are better than ever before. Fall goes into winter, turns into spring. You will rise again and return to the truth of who you really are. And the star, basically the star message. Meditate on the seasons as they ebb and flow in constant cycles of the earth energies. Watch the constellations as they move about in the night sky. See the signs and change and rejuvenation in nature. How can you apply these universal principles to your own life? How can you be more adept at going with the flow? And when you reemerge from the cycle, will you make a grand entrance? So what's interesting about that is it talks about the seasons changing, and we just entered summer officially. So I see the message coming with the change of the season, so it is connected to that cyclical seasonal change, and it really feels like it's telling you to not just go with the flow, but the message that I feel is really relevant is going with the path of least resistance. That's something that's always been a key theme for me in my journey, and it's a very kind of a what's the word? Taoist. It's a Taoist mentality. It's also known as effortless action or the path of non-action. I've always called it the path of least resistance, but essentially it's allowing yourself not to just go with the flow, but to go with what naturally is happening and occurring without there being any kind of obstacles or bumps. If you watch a drop of water trickle down a piece of glass or a wall, it's going to go with the path of least resistance and just be like water. That's all I can say. Be like water, flow, and be endless. Anything you want to add, Marcus?
No, as we always say,
Yep.
hydration check to everybody. Make sure you guys stay hydrated. Drink that clean water always. And yeah, hydration is so key. Definitely want to stay hydrated through the process. Hydration, it helps us more than we think. That's for sure. Especially when we're going through a lot of emotions and a lot of releasing. And I feel called to also remind everybody too that, part of our shadow work and part of the journey is, shedding tears, sharing emotions, expressing yourself, going through that raw vulnerability and those raw emotions when they come up, and embrace it. Embrace it while you can experience it. And the more you embrace it, the more you'll be able to change it, and you'll be able to lean into it and make peace with it as well. And if you guys ever, need some assistance, need some guidance, you can always reach out to myself or Yuuga as well. And we're both well versed in many different ways in how we could help bring some guidance or just reflection to you. It was funny you say all that stuff about the water, because water's been coming up so much lately for me. I'm starting to do water therapy, sound healing sessions here locally down at my park. And basically, I'm just setting up at the waterfall, bring my hand pan, bring some singing bowls, and I allow people to receive some therapy there. And water has just been a beautiful, beautiful reminder, especially the element itself, of just purification and just continuation, and remembering that, we can always adapt to what life has for us. And that includes when our shadows come up and when we go through emotions, we can adapt and we can accept, because acceptance is a pretty big key as well. As acceptance, accepting what we feel, accepting what we're experiencing, so that we can then allow it to pass through and let go. It's okay to accept what we feel. I know it could be tough for a lot of people out there, especially, well, I'm not even going to say especially men, but I know there's men and women that have been suppressed throughout their life and haven't really had those safe spaces to express and go through emotions. So just a reminder that that is part of your shadow work, is embracing that, allowing those to be expressed, shedding tears, and being vulnerable with each other. Anything else you got for us, brother?
No, I think we're good.
Thank you for that reading as well. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, if you guys have any other further comments, questions, feel free to put them in the comments. And if any live that's still tapped in the moment, if there's any closing questions that you have about a shadow work crystal or a way to use a crystal, or maybe some shadow work you're going through in this moment, I'll give you a moment if you would like to drop a question in there. And while we take this moment, I just want to give people a reminder as well that I have retreats coming up all over the country this year. And one of those retreats is going to be a veterans retreat next month in July. It'll be July 12th and 13th out here in Ohio. It'll be in the Cincinnati area. So if you guys know veterans, or you are a veteran that is active or non-active, that is something that you can participate in and be a part of. Learn about holistic healing, receive different things like sound healing, meditation, ice baths, and more. We'll be having that going on July 12th and 13th. And then also we have Sedona coming up August 8th for Lionsgate from the 6th to the 9th. Yuuga will be there as well. We'll be facilitating and leading way at this wonderful Sedona Vortex retreat, and we'll be aligning with the Lionsgate. So if that's something that you feel like calls to you and you want to be a part of these vortexes and transformative energies, just reach out and we'll gladly give you any info that you need. So it looks like nobody has any questions, so we can close out for this episode. And I want to thank you for being a wonderful co-host.
Very welcome.
All right. So with that being said, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. And we will see you guys not next Tuesday, but we will see you the following Tuesday. Wholeness and balanced love.
Attention veterans, your next mission: healing and community in beautiful Loveland, Ohio. Imagine a place where nature's serenity meets powerful ancient healing practices. Welcome to the first ever Holistic Healing for Veterans Retreat, happening July 12th and 13th in Loveland, Ohio. This is not just any retreat. Hosted by Marcus Christolight of Sacred Light and co-hosted by former Marine Sergeant AJ Lardy, this 2-day outdoor camping experience is designed just for you. Alongside fellow Sacred Community members Heather Lynn of Heart Alchemy Wellness, Lauren aka Peach, Katie Singing Eagle, and Niara, you'll dive deep into holistic shamanic level flow shops. Picture this: sound healing that calms your mind, shadow work that uncovers your true self, and subconscious reprogramming to help you rewire the brain from PTSD and trauma. All set in a beautiful, secluded, natural setting with a magical riverside. And it doesn't stop there. We'll provide clean, vibrant meals for all diets, ensuring you nourish your body as well as your spirit. Let's grow together as a community, bringing empowering healing to ourselves and our loved ones. Tickets are incredibly affordable. Just $33 for 1 day or $77 for the full 2 days. But remember, you must register first. Scan the QR code on the flyer or visit the site next to the code. Got questions? DM Marcus Christolight directly at 513-238-5580. This is your chance to find peace, connect with fellow veterans, and embark on a journey of profound healing. One love.